Hey, sorry I'm late.
Oh, hey. God, I should have recorded as soon as you started the video.
We can do like a clap or something like we used to.
All right.
Because
you clap.
Because we're not going to sync these up anymore.
Yes, I'm going to have to sync it up.
Why?
Oh,
You're recording the sound.
Okay. You've got what? Look at how my light doesn't work anymore. It's on. It sounded really loud. You think I should lower my mic, remember? I'm going to lower it.
Okay. I don't know.
I'm going to put it
right there or something. Okay, I'm going to just get into my story.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to
I Have a Strange Story podcast.
This is the show where two sisters retell strange and paranormal experiences. My name is Rebekah.
I'm Lindsey.
And welcome to the show. This is season 3.
I can't believe it.
And look at us.
We're in an odd season of number.
Yeah. Somebody's here.
That's right. Here we are.
Yeah.
Next to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So congratulations on making it to Colorado. I feel like we have a big announcement. What is it?
I moved to Colorado. After so many years. So we've been doing it for 7 years?
Since 2018, and I'm not very good with math.
No.
So 6 years?
6 years. It'll be going on 7. But yeah. Here we are. Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
To another 7 years. That is oh yeah, drink.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I know. We got a big old glass of champagne.
Yeah.
Anywho, announcements?
Yeah.
Beyond me moving, I had a big summer trip that I feel like was like once in a lifetime for me. I went to Gettysburg and I went on a haunted tour, and it was everything I fucking wanted it to be. It was so much fun. The best part was when you get there and you start the tour, they're like, all of Gettysburg is a burial ground. Because it is. Yeah. The whole city, everything about it, everybody, there's so many like dead people there. But my hotel was right in what they called like dead man's zone or whatever, and it was like the divide between the north and the south.
Oh my God.
And so if you walked through there, you were dead, right? That's where my bed and breakfast was. So I took my cat, I took Lily, and she flipped out in that room. Yeah. She felt so much energy. She kept me up all night. She was running around. She was crying. I felt bad for her. And I decided I wouldn't take her on a trip again after that. But I did the tour of Gettysburg, super cool. And then I learned about another way to communicate with spirits, and it was with dowsing rods.
That's so cool.
I know. And so we went down to this creek, and the tour guide asked where we were from. And when he found out I was from Texas, he was like, you're going to be really popular. And I didn't know how to take it. Like, I was like, what does that mean? And I even asked the person with me, I was like, what do you think that means? Like, why would I be popular? And shut up. So when we got to the area that we're going to do the like communication with spirits, he was like, I need my person from Texas. And he was like, go down to the corner over there, follow the fence. And there's a bunch of soldiers who are Confederate soldiers. And he was like, they usually don't want to talk to a lot of people from the north. So they're going to be excited that you're here. So it was pitch black. There was no lights. Like, I don't know if I explained that to you.
No, I thought that I imagined this during the day.
It was at night. It's pitch black. We're around no lights. We're away from the city and just kind of out on a country road.
Yeah.
And so I walked over there. It was scary. And then the rods, I took them out, and you just ask questions, and then you say, for yes or no, you cross or you uncross the rods. Or if you have another way to do it, I'm very inexperienced, so it was kind of hard. But I spoke to 3 different spirits that night. The person who was with me didn't get the rods to work at all. But they stood next to me and watched, and they were like, oh my God, like, this works. And when I went back up to the tour guide to tell him about my time, he was like, well, they know who they're talking to. So the person I was with isn't really a believer. Gotcha. And so I think that's why they're like, well, fuck you. So they talked to me. It was all pretty general. It's kind of weird. You really need to prepare for what to ask people.
Yeah.
Because you're like, how are you? It's like,
how's the weather? Yes or no? Because you can only ask yes or no questions.
So it was really hard. It was kind of like spur of the moment. I didn't really know what to do. But the last spirit that I spoke to was confusing. It was providing me conflicting information. I kind of felt like they were gaslighting me. It wasn't a human, but it was. And then it was a little girl, but it wasn't. And it died before the Civil War, and all of its family died too. And it was just really confusing. And so when I quit talking to it, I went back up to the tour guide, and when I told him what I'd been talking to and what they said, he just said, you were not talking to a little girl. He said, that's who we like to call John. And he was like, it's not a spirit, it's not a person. We don't know what John is, but John really likes to confuse people. And
oh my God, I know a John like that.
We all do, girl. And so he was like, it lives in the woods, and this is what it lives for. So after that, I went back to the hotel room. I was scared all night because of my cat's behavior.
Yeah.
She wouldn't let me sleep. She kept running up to me and being like, and like at one point I did see her flop on the bed as if somebody was petting her.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that freaked me out. So the sleep was awful, but it was a great experience. It's everything I ever wanted. It was a limited time because it was a whole ordeal to get there, but yeah, I made it to Gettysburg.
I'm so happy for you. I feel like this is like probably number 1 on your bucket list.
It was!
Yes.
That Little Round Top was closed, so unfortunately for our longtime listeners, I didn't get to speak to Joshua Chamberlain, which was like my number 1 dream. Yeah. And it was like a week after I left Pennsylvania, there was an announcement that Little Round Top was open again, and I was like,
we'll have to go back there.
But he didn't die there, so he's probably not there.
Oh, we'll have to go where he died.
All right.
Okay, we'll have to go where he's buried.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Take the dowsing rods.
He'll love me.
I know. I know everything about
you. Okay. Anyway, that's my announcement.
Yeah, she's here. We're very happy. Like, we live so close to each other. It's nuts. It's great. And I guess I just wanted to let y'all know, too, we're doing the show a little bit differently. So we're going to be doing themed shows, and Lily is going to come. And so like every week, every month, we're going to have a new topic. Yes. And we're still going to need your stories, so please send them in to us. You can send them to ihaveastrangestorypodcast@gmail.com. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe and rate and review us. That would be very helpful. Thank you so much. And I don't know that I really have anything right now, so I'll just get into my story.
Sounds good.
What is our topic?
Well, this week, or this month, so we only have one show this month. We will have bi-weekly eventually. But I wanted to focus this month on like the workers' wrath, because it was Labor Day.
Oh, gotcha.
Like Labor Day was established for the workers, for us folks.
For us peons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a movement to help us, to protect us, allegedly. I don't really know it. Well, we won't get into that. But so that was my theme. So paranormal around like workers' wrath and that type of thing.
Nice. Yes. I like it. Well, I've got a cool story that this is a pretty famous thing that happened during the Industrial Revolution, but I had never heard of it because whenever we were in high school, we learned Texas history and no other history.
They really focused a lot on it.
Really was a lot
really
of Texas.
Weird. Texas history was a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it.
The Alamo.
Yeah.
There was the Alamo. Anyways, so this is about the Pemberton Mill. Have you heard of the Pemberton Mill?
Is it about a fire?
There is a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know about it.
So this was in the bustling town of Lawrence, Massachusetts. The Pemberton Mill stood as a towering symbol of the Industrial Revolution. It was built in 1853, and the massive brick structure housed hundreds of workers, many of whom were recent immigrants seeking a better life in America. And the mill was a hive of activity, with the clatter of looms and the hum of machinery filled the air as workers toiled away day and night to produce textiles for the growing nation. So, but beneath the surface of this thriving enterprise lay a fatal flaw. The Pemberton Mill had been hastily constructed, and in a bid to maximize profits, its owners had overloaded the building with heavy machinery far beyond its extended capacity. And on January 10th, 1860, this tragic oversight would lead to one of the most horrific industrial disasters in American history. This building was 5 or 6 stories tall.
Mm-hmm.
It was massive. It was huge. And it was filled with these heavy machines that were constantly churning like textiles and cottons and denim and fabric like day and night. Most of the workers were women and children.
Oh.
Just going to put that out there. So it was a typical winter afternoon at the mill, and the workers were going about their tasks, unaware of the danger that loomed overhead, when suddenly, without warning, a loud crack echoed through the building, and the walls of the mill began to tremble, and within seconds, the entire structure collapsed in a deafening roar. Brick, timber, and machinery rained down on the workers, trapping hundreds beneath the rubble. So, panic and chaos erupted as survivors scrambled to escape the wreckage, their screams mingling with the groans of the dying, and outside townspeople rushed to the scene desperate to save those that were trapped inside. And rescuers worked tirelessly, digging through the debris with their bare hands, but the situation soon took a darker turn. So, like, at this point in time, the building is collapsed.
Yeah.
They're ringing these toll bells to, like, just call everybody in the town
to come help.
Oh,
my God.
I know. And people who got out of the rubble who weren't injured were still there, just using their bare hands to dig through the brick. And then as night fell, people were lighting lanterns and bonfires so that they could see. It's also in the dead of winter, so it's really cold, so they were trying to get warmth. And a spark from the lantern ignited on the wreckage. It was said that somebody dropped a lantern, and it engulfed the entire mill in flames.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah. So those who had survived the collapse now faced a new horror as the fire spread rapidly, consuming everything in its path. The heat was unbearable, and the cries of those trapped inside grew weaker until they were finally silenced. And when the fire finally was extinguished, the scene that emerged was one of unimaginable devastation. The charred remains of the mill smoldered in the cold air, and the bodies of the victims, many burned beyond recognition, were laid out in makeshift morgues. The death toll would eventually reach 145, with countless others injured.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so in the years that followed, the site of the Pemberton Mill became a place of mourning, but also one of mystery and fear. As new buildings were erected over the ruins, strange occurrences began to be reported by those who worked in the area. Machines would inexplicably turn on and off by themselves, doors would slam shut without warning, and workers would often feel an icy chill or the sensation of being watched even when they were alone. So they built another mill on top of it.
That was going to be like, so that's one of my questions. What do you think, like, spirits think about that? Do you think they care? Or do you think it's offensive?
I kind of feel like they would be like, this is disrespectful.
I think
right? You know, like, yeah.
I my feelers, because I'd be like, I died here and it was awful and you know it.
And you're just going to go business as usual?
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, gotta get back to work.
Yeah, women and children and immigrants.
Jesus Christ.
Who are also women and children.
Yeah, that's nuts, dude.
That's
awful. I got a little teary-eyed, honestly.
I know.
It's a little sad.
It's very sad. And there's still reports coming from people who claim to have seen ghostly figures of the mill workers. Excuse me. The apparitions are often described as women in tattered, soot-stained dresses, and they're seen wandering the grounds, their faces etched with expression of terror and despair. Some witnesses even reported hearing the faint sounds of looms clattering in the distance, screams and screams of the trapped, as if the tragic events of that day were replaying over and over again in the spectral realm. So this does sound like that there is a residual haunting there.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like, that makes completely perfect sense. Something terrible and tragic happened to these people, a lot of people in this place. Like, not only did you get your building collapsed around you, but then you got burned to death.
I mean, I hate, like, working for the man, you know, all those things, right? Totally into all that. So I also think that I would do stuff like turn machines off, whatever's there now. I don't know if it's like copy machines or computers.
It's still a textile machine.
Oh.
I mean, Mill, I think that they're still doing fabric and cotton and denim and stuff like that.
So disrespectful. Either way, I would be like I would turn the shit off constantly. I would be a complete fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
For whoever had the business there.
Yeah.
Like, I would ruin and sabotage everything. So if we ever wondered what kind of a spirit I would be, I will be a very, like, resentful. No matter how I die, actually.
Yeah, I know. She went peacefully in her sleep, and she's like haunting.
Fuck no.
She's like, you're gonna be like the Beetlejuice, like, ghosts that are like, I fucking hate what you've done to the house.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to fuck with everybody. And I'm gonna go to all my enemies, everyone who's wronged me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna terrify everybody.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
I know. I'm really excited. I hope that too. I don't want you to die or anything, but you need to have a catchphrase.
Water bandits.
Agua fiesta. It would be basically. So this building, whenever it was built with really cheap, crappy material.
Of course,
obviously, it was like 5 or 6 stories high. I can't remember. And the machines were running constantly. There was no stopping. They said that whenever they would go inside the building, the machines are on, they could feel the building vibrate. Yeah, like, it was not uncommon to be like, the walls are shaking. Like, that's just how it was. So there have been a couple of people that have experienced things whenever they walk by the mill. So a couple of people that live in Lawrence have noticed that whenever they walk by the mill, they can hear screams and crashing. So they're continuing to hear, like, what happened that day. They can smell smoke and hear bells ringing and just get this heavy feeling. One person says that they don't know if the mill itself is haunted, but because of the horrific Pemberton Mill disaster and the incredible loss of that day, she just thinks because she's ability, she can sense this unrest and pain of the poor people.
Yeah.
Another person senses the same stuff as well. Same thing, hears the bells, smells the smoke, hears people. They said that they see actually people in the windows. They also say they see a woman, and they say her name is Margaret. And that is a normal occurrence that happens whenever they just walk by this building.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I know.
I want to go really bad. You said it's in Michigan?
Yeah. You know what is really cool? We should just, like, pinpoint all these places and, like, go.
You know, what's really great is when you don't live in Texas, you can drive to a lot of places.
Because not half of your drive is taken up by Texas.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know, it's
like 2 hours to get to another state. That's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I want to go.
Okay.
This is a perfect thematic, like, yeah, that's fucking Labor Day story there.
This is a fucking Labor Day story. Like, they worked day and night. The building itself was unrest, and it was in horrible working conditions.
Yeah.
So, like, what did Labor Day do? Did we honor these people? Maybe this could be a new, like, way to spend Labor Day, is to honor the people that came before us that, like, really needed a day off.
Yeah.
And really needed to have some, like, workers' rights.
To learn about it. Learn about Margaret, her story, man.
Margaret and all the poor folks that perished in the Pemberton Mill.
Do you know what year this was? Like, around?
This was, I think it was I said the date, but let me just see.
They were born in the same time period as us, the 1900s?
No, it's not.
Okay.
1860.
Woo!
That's whenever it died. That's when everybody died. But it was built in 1853.
Okay. I mean, that's old.
It is old.
Okay.
Yeah, it's older than us, thank God.
Jeez. Well, I have a story from the 1900s.
Oh, nice.
And unfortunately, even so, my story takes place after your story, and I don't think you can compare, tragedies, but
They're all terrible.
it's as if we learned nothing from your tragedy to transfer over to mine.
I feel a rant coming after this story that I feel like we could both maybe partake in.
Maybe.
But go ahead.
I guess my cat wants my pen. I would rather you not have it. So this is a story that really impacted labor history, and it's called the Ludlow Massacre, and it comes to us from Colorado.
Oh.
I noticed it one time when I was leaving Colorado. I saw like a historical plaque, and I was like, "What?"
Gotta get over
history.
there.
And it said like this is the place of the Ludlow Massacre, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" So I looked it up, and so I've been a little interested in it since then. But now I live in Colorado, so I'm a little corny like that. So this takes place whenever like coal mining was a really big deal. And can you imagine that during this time period, whoever you worked for, it was like around 1913, 1914. Whoever you worked for, you had to live in the housing that they provided.
Okay.
So, and you had a shop where they told you to shop.
Like for your own stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you would go into debt in these shops.
Oh, shit.
And so you had to work the hours they said to work. It's coal mining, so that was like long hours, dangerous, right? And then you had to live where they told you to live. They were your landlords on top of it. And you still had to pay them. Like how the fuck they had this much control over people is beyond me. But so this was in Ludlow. So as you can tell, the working conditions were pretty bad. A lot of the miners were immigrants. They had to work really long hours, and like I said, really bad conditions for really low wages. The mining companies controlled everything. So in 1913, there was a United Mine Workers of America, and they called for a strike.
Nice.
Yes, and so that means since it was America, all the miners started striking. Because they went on strike, they were kicked out of their homes immediately, evicted immediately.
Oh my God. And
these coal miners had families. And so what they did as a part of the strike was they were like, fuck this shit. So they went to Ludlow and they erected like a campsite. And so all of the wives, the children, the miners, they all went there because they'd been evicted.
Yeah.
Because they were fighting back with a strike. This led to a lot of tension, and the company at the time got really upset. They hired private security as well as the National Guard to come in.
Oh my God, this is so fucking stupid.
There are so many stories about the National Guard killing American citizens.
Like, who are they working for?
It's insane.
Who are they protecting?
I know.
Corporations. It began in the
Look at us, we're already mad.
Jesus.
Okay, so once the National Guard came in, then skirmishes started to happen. There started to be these little fights everywhere. And then finally, on April 20th of 1914, the conflict really reached a peak. And this happened because in the tent colony, the National Guard came in and they just opened fire on the tents. And this may be a little hard for you to believe, but there were machine guns at this time.
Oh my.
And I actually looked it up. I was like, I'm going to fact check this. There were machine guns in 1914. And they opened fire and just started killing people in the tents. And remember, there's women and children and just innocent people sleeping, right?
Yeah.
So throughout this battle or whatever, this massacre, 20 people were killed. Of those 20 people that were killed, 11 of them were kids and 2 were women who had nothing to do with it. And what had happened was there was kind of a pit below one of the campsites. And they had kind of gone down into the pit to protect themselves, like to miss the bullets. And a fire, the campsite caught fire, and so they all suffocated.
Jesus Christ.
Below it, yeah.
It's so sad.
This is what happened after the massacre, though, is that word spread about what had happened, and protests and violence around the country like broke out because they were so upset about how this was handled and how all these innocent people were killed. So now it's a national historic site. And it's kind of the same thing that Rebekah described with her story. Whenever people visit this site, They hear all sorts of things. They hear gunshots. They hear screams. They hear a lot of chaos. A lot of people report seeing shadow figures, and a lot of them look like women and children because that's the majority of the people who died, of course. And when they're there, there's also temperature drops. Like they have, there's a lot of cold spots that they feel, as well as overwhelming sadness and just really depressed feelings as they enter.
Oh man, for sure.
They hear children's voices, and sometimes they hear what sounds like children playing when there's no children around. And the rarest thing, but it has been spotted, is smoke rising from the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Like the fire from that pit is what I imagine.
That's crazy.
So some stories about this site are a little hard to find, but I just have a few short ones to share. So one person arrived at the location and they were immediately just overwhelmed with feeling really, really sad. And they also said they immediately knew that they were not alone. And as they were walking through, they started to hear faint cries and whispers. And like I said, there was nobody around.
Yeah.
Another person described as they were approaching the memorial, they saw a figure of a woman in an old tattered dress, and she appeared translucent. And of course, she looked very, very sad. And eventually, she just disappeared.
Yeah.
And then another group of folks who were paranormal enthusiasts, they had gone to visit and they somehow got in at night. And whenever they arrived, they saw a shadow figure of a man who was standing near the memorial. It stood and it watched them from a pretty far distance. And as soon as they approached, it just kind of vanished and he disappeared. So it feels like our stories are very similar.
Yes.
There's a common thread between them. And so, like, I don't know. It just maybe gives you more of an understanding of Labor Day, why we have it. It's one day out of the year that some people get off, not everybody.
Yeah.
But so many people died for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they died, they continued to haunt.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I have my TV on and there was a man's butt. I don't know what else to say. It was really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They're Mormons. Anyways.
And
they're Mormons. Anyways, yeah. It really does put Labor Day into perspective, and like makes me feel like we should honor the dead a little bit more on that day and really give thanks to like the people who died before us, so that we could have our one holiday off that some people get off and some people don't.
Yeah. So take a visit to Ludlow or
the Pemberton Mill in Lawrence, Massachusetts.
There we go.
Pay your respects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do something to honor the folks, and also for a spooky, encounter.
Yeah. If you want to do that, get dowsing rods.
I'm telling you, they'll change your life.
Yeah.
But I think that's all that we have for today.
Yeah.
First episode back. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Welcome to Colorado.
Back. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess until next time.
Bye.
I wonder how long that was. Stop.